All right, everybody. Welcome to the first in a series of meetings to get you guys ready for USA Swimming in both Storm and our Rising Stars program. We'll have another meeting during week 0 led by our parent liaisons. But today I wanted to get some one-on-one time with you guys to let you know a little bit more about me and the wet side of the program. They'll talk about some of the other aspects. If you have questions as we go along, yell them out, or you can wait till the end. Don't fire things off in the chat because I won't see it as we're sharing things. Briefly about me, I'm Michael White, born and raised in West Virginia, where I spent my first 29 years teaching and coaching. And then in about 2010, I moved to full-time coaching. It took me to Springdale, Arkansas in 2012, and then I moved here to Sun Prairie in 2014. I'm now at about half of my life as a coach. Otherwise, when I'm not on the pool deck, I'm at the dog park with Cosmo or looking in the woods for a golf ball I lost. I've tried to keep myself active in the swim community since coming to the area. I spent 4 years as the age group chair. I've been a board member with Wisconsin Swimming since 2017. And the central zone of USA Swimming, I'm wrapping up as the coach director. Storm itself began the year before I arrived. A group of parents wanted a team for the community, and in 2013 it began. I was looking for a job where I could prove myself, so the idea of starting a team from scratch was really exciting. So I moved up here with a U-Haul, sight unseen, to Wisconsin. On my 3rd day, I found a place to live, and I've been here ever since. The team has taken off, tripling in size and reaching high goals without losing the community feel of that initial group of parents in 2013. So you guys are all registered for the team now, but there's one registration left to do, and that'll be with USA Swimming itself. After September 1st, we'll send you a link to register your athlete. That annual registration will cover your swimmer's insurance and will make them eligible for all USA Swimming competitions. It's an extra layer that didn't exist in years past, but we've got a registration liaison that can help you through the process if you get stuck. One of the things that sounds so silly but is constantly an issue is make sure when you are registering for USA Swimming, the date of birth for your athlete matches exactly what you put in Team Unify. And if you named your child Stevie instead of Steven, you're marking them the same way in USA Swimming as you do for Team Unify. So this season and your entire swim career with Storm or whoever is going to be a bit of a choose your own adventure book. And the level that they progress to is largely up to them. You have a bit of a say, and I have a bit of a say, but it's not really our sport, and it's not us that's choosing to stay in the water for a decade plus. We don't want our little swimmers to make this their life at all. Have your child try to hit a baseball or play an instrument or raise a goat with 4-H. Do not specialize in a sport at this point in their swim career. Even if they're loving it and they don't want to do anything else, keep having them do other things so that if one day they fall out of love with the sport or a shoulder injury happens or you have to move to a place without water, they can do other things. Well-rounded athletes and well-rounded human beings make for better swimmers. Years from now, you may get to that point where you have to specialize or your kid wants to take that next step, but that should not be happening before 13, 14, 15 years old. Anything before that is too early. For many swimmers, this is a decade-long process that will require a lot of patience and resilience. And sometimes that's going to require taking breaks from swimming entirely, or cutting back, or changing the level of effort. So I've kind of come up with some keys to success here. And this is really tough for a lot of new parents to grasp at times. And I understand why. And it's because we're dealing with your three most important resources: your time, your money, and your children. And letting go of all that and trusting strangers with that can be really scary at times. But be patient and let your child learn success. And more importantly, let them learn failure in the sport. Our goal as a team right now is to use the sport to grow children into young adults. It's not to feed pipe dreams about Olympic medals or college free rides, or tell your kid that they're going to be something that they're not. They'll reach their own plateau, their own peak on their own, and it's just up to us to help guide them there. The life lessons that they'll pick up along the way are what this is about. Um, there's a quote on there: comparison is the thief of joy. And I use this really often with our 11 to 14-year-olds, but it's still really true with our parents, especially new parents. Another child's success or failure will have no bearing on that of your child's. So, whatever you do, do not compare and intervene when you hear your child is getting into that comparison state. So, if your child was better than swimmer A last year and this year swimmer A passes them, that's okay. Let them go on their journey and do whatever you can to stop yourself from comparing, and make sure you're not letting your child compare. It's one of the most dangerous things in the sport, and will take away some of the greatest moments your kids have if they look over and see someone else's success was greater than their own. Swimming is one of those sports that can be really boring at times. That black line they follow in the bottom of the pool for so long can get really monotonous. It's really important to keep reminding yourself that this is your child's sport. And as long as they want to keep following that black line, we let them. But the moment it becomes they're swimming because you swam and you want them to see that joy, or you, they were third place and you want them to get first place next year, the moment we start instituting our own goals on this is where things get really dangerous, and the kid will fall out of love with the sport. So I want to take a brief little trip onto our website here. Give me just a second. So we've tried to make this as clean as possible, and I know it's not a perfect site, but within 2 or 3 clicks, you can find anything you need here. The full practice schedule before changes is on the first tab. All of your equipment needs for the season are spelled out by group. We've got information on swimsuits, tech suits, which I'll say immediately, do not get into a tech suit conversation with your swimmer. We've got locations for all of our pools and where to get into each of them. If you've not been to Sun Prairie West, it is a convoluted parking lot, and we've got directions for each of them. And then we've got all the important dates. What I want to direct your attention to now, we've got a master schedule up, and it's sorted by rising stars in USA, and we'll talk about that distinction in a little bit. You'll sign up for all of your meets from the events page. When the event files are up, there'll be a little button on the right. If you did Piranhas, you'll see the same thing, and sign up from the website only. With our meets being multi-session meets, there's a chance with the app that things don't get communicated properly. And we've seen a lot of misregistrations over the years for kids not being in the proper sessions, not being in enough sessions, or too many sessions. As a problem with Team Unify, they're aware of it. They do not have a fix for it. Lastly, on the last tab here, we spent the last year kind of converting our handbook into a series of frequently asked questions topics. Anything that you can think of is on here somewhere. So if you're stuck with something, shoot us an email. If you can't find it on here, we may point you in the direction of it, but I think we've got just about everything here and everything's linked. So if you find your question at the top, it'll send you right where you need to. We talked about the equipment on the website. That will all be available Thursday when Simply Swimming is at the full annual meeting. We have a team suit that's picked out. That team suit is not a requirement, but as you will learn from me, I like everything color coordinated and really like everyone in the team suit. But that's a $70 purchase. And if you're a new family and you're not sure your kid is going to be in for the long haul, this can be a really expensive sport. So if you want to hold off on the team suit, hold off on it. Either Thursday or Monday of week 0, your swimmer will get a color-coded latex cap. It's just a cap they're going to use for the first month. What we ask of you is that when you get this cap, put it on their head, and then on their forehead, big, smack dab in the center of the forehead of the cap, you put their name as they would want to be called. So if they're Michael and they want to be Michael and not Mike, make sure you put Michael and you make it big so that we can read it. We have a sponsorship with a company called Tier. It's not TYR, it's Tier. They've got all kinds of clothing, apparel, and things that we get at a discount through Simply Swimming. Sometimes you'll find stuff cheap on like Swim Outlet and places like that, or on Speedo's or on Tier's website. You can get things there. I'd be a little hesitant about using Amazon for it, but most cases you're going to find the things cheapest through our team portal. If you've not bought equipment yet, the one thing I will say, every year we get 4 or 5 families that find fins that aren't the right kind of fins. They're like a scuba fin with a like a movable strap on the back. Do not buy those fins. Cheap fins go very poorly. So we've instructed Simply Swimming for our youngest swimmers to bring some of the cheaper long blade fins. I think the brand name is Triton. The nice thing about those fins is that they float when they fall off. The Tier ones, which were a little nicer and a lot more expensive, aren't so great for the kids that can't reach the bottom of 12 feet of water. So if you've not bought fins yet, look for the Triton brand of fin if you've got a little one. As far as how practice goes, 10 minutes is as early as your kid needs to be. If it's a December day at West and you're dropping your kid off 15 minutes early, they are going to stand out in the cold for 5 minutes because those doors do not unlock until 10 minutes before practice. So please do not drop them off super early. Make sure that practice is happening before you drive off. If your kid has another commitment and has to be there 10 minutes later than normal or has to leave early, there's no problem with that. They're not going to get scolded by a coach for arriving late or having to leave early. If they have to miss a sporadic Thursday due to appointments or just can't make it because they're not feeling well, we do not need emails about that. But if you're going to be gone for a week or two for vacation, let us know about that. A lot of families aren't sure whether or not their kids are ready for swim meets. And if they made it through the evaluation process, then they're ready for some level of meet. It doesn't mean you need to attend all of them. There are meets for the faster kids. There are meets for the novice kids. There's meet for older. There's meet for younger. And we've got plenty of meets for everyone. In the notes for each meet, you'll see who that meet is appropriate for. If it's a 2.5 day meet, you are not required to be there all 2.5 days. We'll put in the notes recommendations. If we see that if like a thunderstorm should only be there Saturday morning, we'll put in the notes only to be there for whatever session that is. When you sign up for that meet, you will mark them as a yes or no for that session, but you will not pick the events for that meet. The coaches will handle that. At first, it'll be a little frustrating for the kids because they'll be in events they're not used to, and you'll wonder why. But there's a lot of reasons why we pick the events we do, and there's always a method to the madness. As the kids get older and start experiencing their first 200 fly or 400 IM or 1650, you'll be super happy that you can wash your hands of the event sign-up process and you can blame it on us coaches. There are a lot of kids that shy away from meets. We see this probably more often with girls than boys. They are interested more in the training and less in the competition. I urge you to keep pushing for meets, even if it's not a lot of them, even if it's a day a month, some sort of meet each month is important. And it's not for team scores or to see if they're a 30-second 50 freestyler. It's for us to put to practice everything we've been using throughout the week. And if 2 weeks ago they weren't legal on their breaststroke and now they're legal, this is the only way for us to check those things out effectively. So there's a whole slate of events to choose from. From left to right, they go in order of difficulty. For those of you that aren't familiar, last year we created a brand new league with some of the winter rec teams. Think of it as a even more chill summer league in wintertime. So it's got teams from Lodi, Cambridge, Edgerton, Elkhorn. It's a very relaxed atmosphere, all the way to USA meets that pick up a little bit. And then candidly, I would say 1 in every 7 will make it past halfway on this chart. The Rising Stars, Basic USA meets, and regionals are for everyone. But I would say between 15 and 25% will make it to LSE champs and beyond. And we're aware that that pyramid tapers off really quickly. So we've tried to enhance our opportunities for the kids that'll never see something past the regional championship. The Rising Stars meets typically happen on Friday nights. When we host, we'll be hosting on Saturday mornings because the high school practices go until 6 or 6:30. The meets run quickly. Admittedly, the away meets are a bit disorganized, but it's okay. And you will truly cherish our systems in place when you've spent an evening in Edgerton. Your feet will be drier. You'll understand what's going on. It's just a smoother experience. However, we need meets like at Edgerton. And the reason why we need those is this meet provides the cheapest option for getting into a swim meet at $5, covering everything. They don't have to worry about things like officials or false starts or things. They can just work out the bugs in their swimming. They get the ribbons and the accolades that they might not be getting at a higher level meet. They get all of the things they need, all of that validation that first year swimmers don't find in a lot of USA meets. It's very frustrating for a brand new kid that's age 9 to see an 8 and under going faster than them. But if we align them with other similarly tracking kids early on, it gives them the validation they need to keep going. For that entire season, their age is whatever they are December 1st. We'll wrap up that season the week before the regional championships with a one-day meet in Cambridge this year, and it's really quite enjoyable. The USA meets tend to go a little longer because teams use those not so much as just a competition, but as a fundraiser. So we've got meets that are inclusive for everyone. We've got some that are for specific time standards, some that are just for older kids. There are times where we will split the team where faster go to one place, slower go to another, or 12 and under go to one place, 13 over go to another, so that kids can focus on specific things, coaches can focus on specific groups. One of the things we've noticed over the last few years is that because these are fundraisers, the meets can get expensive. So instead of it being $5 for the meet, you're looking at something like $6 per event. So a kid swimming 4 events is now at $24 plus a $4 surcharge for Wisconsin Swimming makes $28, and a facility fee of $5 is $33 for one kid for one day. It gets a lot more expensive. And as the investment from you guys goes up, oftentimes the expectations go up, and that part's really tricky. The age of the first day of competition is what they are for that. So if your swimmer's birthday is on Sunday of a Saturday-Sunday meet, they'll compete that weekend but as if they didn't have their birthday. We try and keep the majority of these meets local, but there are some adventures we'll take. Last year, we took our 12 and under up to Clintonville by bus and had a fun little travel meet. The 13 and overs will go to Des Moines in December. We like to have some opportunities for them to travel together to kind of experience that camaraderie and to get our groups to intermingle a little bit. We will host 3 major home meets throughout the course of the year. We've got a one-day meet in October, a 2-day only meet. It used to be 2.5, but it's 2 this year in December. 8 days. 8 days before Christmas. And then regionals will co-host with another team. If your swimmer is participating in the meet, we'll expect a commitment of a session worked for a session swam. It's a little different with multi-child families. If you are up north for some unknown reason in December and you are not at the meet December 16th, 17th, we are not expecting you to work the meet. Results from the meets kind of go all over the place, especially in the non-rising stars meets. We see a lot of disqualifications early on. We'll try and not put kids in disqualification heavy situations, but we will test their limits a little bit. You'll see a 10 and under swimmer add 7 seconds from where they were 2 weeks ago and then drop 11 the next week. It is all over the place. They don't really have the muscle memory or the habit yet. So you'll see some really confusing swims one week, followed by incredible swims the next, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just how 10 and unders are. The only thing that we can plan for is that no matter what the result is, we make sure that we're okay with the result and they can't read our face to figure out how they swam. More often than you would realize, we've had kids feel that love was conditional and based on how much time they dropped or a cut that was achieved rather than just their best effort. And when that starts to happen, kids will start pulling out of competition and shortly thereafter pulling out of the sport. So no matter how good or bad you think that race was, the same open arms and smile, regardless of good or bad, is really key for this. They'll race 1,000 races over the course of their swim career, and we have to be prepared for any outcome. One of the things you'll see later on in the season are time standards. USA Swimming has a motivational time standard, and it's based on times in the national age group records. So someone achieving a B cut is in the top half of the nation. Someone in the A cut gets the top 15%. And we will have bag tags that track these performances. So after a swim meet, you'll see a recap on our website or on Facebook that will indicate any child that's achieved a new standard. They'll get bag tags in their mailbox, and this is a way of tracking their growth as individuals without worrying about things like the Wisconsin state time standards. Another way we're motivating our kids is to try and get some of our returning swimmers IMR and IMX awards. Those are based on swimming a full set of events. I will just gloss over this a little bit because for our brand new kids, this is not very applicable, but you'll hear more about it as the season goes on. There's IMR, which is the first level, and IMX, which is the harder level. We communicate in a couple different ways. If it's just regular news, every Wednesday or Thursday, you'll get a newsletter from me. It'll be on the website and also delivered to your inbox. If you are a family that only put one login email, you'll want to go back to your account and add secondary email addresses for anyone else that may need alerts on practice changes or getting the newsletter. So if grandma's taking them every Thursday, it might be worth putting them in on the newsletter. If something happens like a late staffing issue or a weather change has caused us to have to cancel practice, not only will we send out the newsletter, but we'll also use social media and push notifications to try and get things out so that you're not stuck going all the way to the pool. The social media is used a lot for meet results, accolades, recognition, and reminders about events. So if you've not found us on Facebook, I'd highly recommend digging us up. The Instagram content is 90% the same as Facebook, but it's probably a little more athlete driven, whereas the Facebook content is more parent driven. When you are wanting to communicate to us, typically we'll have 2 full-time coaches. We're in the process of hiring the second after AJ moved to Oregon. If you've got a question, a concern, whatever it may be, talk to either me or whoever the lead coach is for that group. There may be 3 or 4 coaches coaching that group any day, but most of those coaches are 14, 15, 16-year-olds that can't handle your concerns or questions. So talk to the lead coach. If it's something that you would like a serious heart-to-heart conversation on, let's set up a time to meet. 5 minutes before practice is good for a quick question, but if you want to have dialogue, we need to have some time where there aren't little kids running around that I need to keep an eye on as a coach, in addition to handling those concerns. I am 300 yards from the Beans and Cream at the cannery and can meet there at any point. I'm not nearly as intimidating in person as people think at first. I've gotten rave reviews where they thought I was terrifying from these kinds of meetings and then sat down with me, and I'm kind of okay. If you have questions and things, send an email. Please do not text. Texts get lost with us, and we want to keep the thread and keep multiple coaches in. And the last thing, and this is something that I've been pushing more in the last couple of years. Right now, I'm scheduled to work 4 mornings and 5 evenings and have daytime hours. So something around 55, 65 hours a week. I am trying to maintain my sanity in the weekends by just not doing the emails and things. So please do not expect a Sunday morning reply to emails. We will try and handle things as we can in business hours. The last thing that I did not add a slide to was training groups. This is probably the most hot button thing we get and brings the most questions up. We do move ups 4 times a year, and it's at the start of each session. The majority of them happen in the fall and in the spring. The questions we get are always, why is swimmer A in a faster group than my kid when my kid beat him at a meet? My swimmer is a BB cut. When do they move up? There are tons of factors in play when we do the move ups. The size of the group they're moving up to, the size of the group they're moving from, their birthday, how they train, their endurance, their peer groups. We try and keep peer groups together when we can. There are a lot of factors. When we have these conversations as coaches, we'll sit down with a full roster broken down by group and discuss each of the potential move ups, pros and cons. Someone will play the devil's advocate role. We'll send out an email to everyone who will be moving up, and in most cases, talk to the swimmer in addition to that. That way there's 2 layers. We want to make sure the swimmer is okay with the move up if the coaches are too. If they're okay and the coaches are okay, then the email will come to you. After we've alerted all the families of move ups, we'll send out an email to the entire base of the team and say, everyone that was going to be notified has been notified, so that when that next registration happens, you don't have to guess. We have made a habit now of, when a kid is borderline, erring on the side of caution and waiting. We'd rather be wrong and see a kid going much faster than everyone else in practice and move them up, rather than going the other way and moving a swimmer up too early and risk having to move them back. We did that a couple of times in the first few years, and it was a pretty crushing feeling to move up and then to move back down. So as your kid wonders what they can do to do better, have them talk to a coach. If you're not quite sure, be patient and trust, but ask questions if you're not sure, if you have concerns. Whatever you do, though, don't make those questions based on comparisons at meets, because of all the things we're factoring in, racing it on Saturday tells very little about how they train on Monday through Friday. And if you're not seeing your swimmer train day in and day out, you're probably not getting the full picture of things. And that's all I have as far as the actual presentation of things. I wanted to leave the remainder of this for you guys for questions. If you know someone who's not here, we've got this recorded, and I will be putting this on our YouTube page. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I actually got a question. So I registered my daughter for USA swimming already.
Okay.
I guess, how do we get her identified with your club? I did sign under Storm when I registered her.
When did you register?
Right before we were allowed to do the new enrollment.
I think we may have to go through the process of getting you a refund because I think you registered for the 2022-2023 season, which would mean your registration expires New Year's Day.
Okay.
Will you shoot me an email so that I can research that a little bit?
Yep, can do.
Okay.
I actually did the same thing, and it
Okay.
expires the end of August. I was really confused.
Yep. They did not disable the link for this. So anyone who started early on the process and was a real go-getter, I think needs a refund.
So email you.
Yes, I can start running things down. I'm not quite sure what the process is, but I can find out the process and let you guys all know.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, can you talk a little bit about the schedule and what to expect for week 0 in particular?
Sure. Week 0 is all going to be at Sun Prairie East. I've got that on the Google Calendar now. Let me look at my dates here. That'll be 6:30 to 7:30. We'll be doing 45 to 55 minutes of practice, working on some basics like streamlines, ready position, those kinds of things that the returning swimmers have all picked up. Believe it or not, I have some weird idiosyncrasies and things I want them to pull off at each day of practice. So we'll go over those expectations and things early on. We'll probably spend the first 2 days on freestyle and a little bit on backstroke on 3 and 4. Maybe touch on diving a little bit, but it'll be a chance for them to meet us, learn some of the things before the returning swimmers come back. And then either Tuesday or Wednesday, I think they're leaning towards Tuesday, they'll have a parent meeting with the new parent liaisons trying to go over the details that I didn't go over today.
I have a question about the thunderstorm schedule.
Huh?
I was just wondering, is there any flexibility with that where if they are thunderstorm 2, could they ever go to one of the thunderstorm 1 practices?
So that's a really good question. We have lots of parents who have asked that. And then someone who's been like, I have a tropical storm. Can they swim with thunderstorm or swim with cyclone? We've been pretty strict on not allowing a crossover because things get a little wild and unpredictable when we allow that flexibility. So if your swimmer is thunderstorm 1, they are in with thunderstorm 1. There may be some times where we offer some joint practices, but we do not have the ability for them to jump from one group to the other for other practices.
This might be on your website, but my daughter's out of town this week and won't be able to be at the suit fitting on Thursday. Can we just go to Simply Swimming or?
Yes, if you go up to Simply Swimming and say you have a tropical storm, they know exactly what each group needs as far as equipment and can
Okay.
fit you for the suit. And I believe can like do the custom logo on the suit while you wait.
Okay, thanks.
I don't know if it's up now, but I believe by Thursday they're supposed to have like a club portal where you can see all of our things and order online and be able to potentially have that stuff bagged and ready for Thursday for families that'll be there. And if not, they've got a shipping option or a pickup option for next week or whenever it happens. If you do things like apparel, they're going to have a separate order for that.
So my son's USA Swim stuff doesn't expire until December.
Hmm.
Do I just wait till December or do I pay for a new season in September?
No, you'll need to do a new season because we'll have to go through the transfer paperwork and all that fun stuff too.
Okay.
So we'll do all of that in one swoop in the fall. If any of you have the slightest concern that maybe your swimmer is like a flighty kid and may not want to stick with it, hold off on your USA registration until we've made it through partway through week 1, I would say. Not even week 0, but wait till week 1. And if they've not come around to it, you won't have to buy the USA registration. We've got enough equipment and things that we can make do for the kids that aren't quite sure. It's just such a financial commitment with fins, board, bag, suit, goggles, registration, all at the start. And we will make sure to make things right with you with team registration if they're just not in. Any other questions? Well, thank you everybody for the time. You're more than welcome to jump off. If you have a question that you are shy about asking the group, you can stick around and I'll wait for a few moments. Thank you guys.